his biological relation to these kids. And I don't think
I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
Out for the...
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Mostly Harmless podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sarah, and if we look a little comfier today, I am post-op recovery, but I really did want to record because all I can do right now, you guys, is... Did I already say I'm Sarah? If I haven't, this is Matt. I'm Sarah.
You did, but in case you'd forgotten, I'm Matt.
Yeah. And I'm Sarah. All I can do right now is sit around. So... Luckily, we built an area to podcast in our house. So here we are. And last week, I really wanted, I made Matt watch the TLC special on brother husbands. Now, this is not the show Seeking Brother Husbands, because that was kind of a flop.
Yeah, wait, both of them were flops, though, because this show was one episode of a postulate, right?
Yeah, but this show could have been so good.
I think Seeking Brother or Husband had legs because it was just awful, but
it wasn't.
This one was just one couple.
It was one really effed up situation that we are going to get into, but I have a blanket because if the shot is too wide, you will see my bulky drains.
Or
and
you're talking about what are bloody balls?
So, my daughter...
My wife has bloody balls, and I am not afraid to say it. Some men do not feel comfortable enough with their wives' bloody balls, but I embrace your balls, babe.
Thanks.
Blood and all.
Thank you.
And other viscera in your bloody balls.
Hoping to get them taken out tomorrow, but
because I have notes.
Hopefully this week sometime. But my daughter drew a picture, and I will put up a bigger version of it. But it's of her and I, and she included my drains. And
she literally said, "Mom, this is you, and this is me, and those are your bloody balls."
Oh my God, that's having a tummy tuck with a 5-year-old, you guys. So.
What are you going to do?
Yes. Anyway, so recovery's been, it's been. You're a saint. My God.
I know.
And my mom is in town and she is doing the Lord's work too. But Matt gets up. We have a 20-month-old who is going through a sleep regression right now. So let's just say Matt
is also going through a sleep regression.
Is just the saint of all saints. So I love you so much.
I love you. I went to a hockey game.
He went to a hockey game today.
Solar Bears are currently tied up in overtime.
Yeah.
By the time this is over, I'll have known. By the time this airs, you'll all know how that ends. They've been doing pretty good lately. So I have season tickets to the Solar Bears. They're an ECHL hockey team. They're minor league, and it's fun to watch. So there you go.
But I just needed some of my emotional support comfort items like my blankie, my Diet Coke. So it's a little more cash, a little more laid back. And we're talking about brother husbands. And this is a seriously F situation. So let me just set the stage. I want to get the names right. So it's Chad, Jeremy, and Amanda. Do I have a last name for Chad and Amanda? I do.
Chamanda.
I'll put their last name up on this screen here because I'll look it up because I just wrote Chad, Jeremy, Amanda. Chad and Amanda are young teen love story. They got married. This is a classic case. If you haven't watched it, this is a one-off docu-series. Well, I guess you can't really call it a docu-series.
TLC did a run of like single focal episodes, but it was very clear, and you can still find them, that there was they were basically doing sweeps. They're like, which one could we branch off into a larger universe? It wouldn't surprise me if Seeking Sister Wife and Sister Wives were at one point on a reel like this years and years and years ago.
Duggars were like TLC specials at first. And same with John and Kate plus 8. I'm not sure. I think with Sister Wives too. And then, that morphed into a series. Clearly, My Husband's Not Gay was meant to be a series, but, that was a whole basket of problematic.
What was the other one that we did when we were in California, that show with the not gay SSA people?
Yeah, that was My Husband's Not Gay.
Right. Okay, so this show gives me those vibes also.
You wait.
In fact, if I can say anything about it, is that TLC seems to make a lot of TV shows explicitly saying that people aren't gay that seem a little gay. A little bit.
So, and I think in today's day and age...
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I think in today's day and age, I think the general consensus is you let people tell you who they are, right? I think the thing that was so perplexing about My Husband's Not Gay is that the men were telling us that they were attracted to other men, and like if all the factors aligned right in their religion, they probably would want to live a homosexual lifestyle. That's why watching the show, you're like, this seems like really messed up.
Well, it was as much as said as if I wasn't religious, I'd be gay. Yeah. And then there was two dudes that were like, I used to be in that church and I essentially quit because I wanted to be my truest self.
But I think in today's day and age, I don't think anyone should really seem like anything to anyone. Let people tell you who they are and believe them. Take them at their word.
Right.
Sexuality is fluid. Sexuality is a spectrum. Someone could be very one way or the other and seem the opposite. So let people tell you who they are. Believe them. I've seen a lot of content creators that talk about bisexuality erasure and like how that's a big issue. Like people really don't think that people can be bisexual, and people that identify as being bisexual, they say that absolutely is a thing.
Here's the thing though, it's just in general, if no one's getting hurt and no one's breaking any laws or whatever, like, I don't understand why people seem so, I need to label you and I don't agree with the label that I put on you. And this is kind of the realm that it's like, first and foremost, unless you are like, oh, I really think that person's attractive, I want to go and talk to them and I want to, maybe date them and see where it goes, then what does it matter what someone's orientation is? Like, have you ever met someone, had a good conversation, found out that they were gay, trans, whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't consort with your ilk, even though I liked you up until this very moment. There are plenty of people.
I'm sure people have had those experiences,
which is horrifying. So I don't associate with those people. I'm like, we
don't associate with the bigoted people.
Right, yeah. Don't take what I say out of context.
Just to be clear.
But it bothers me when it's like, I wonder if that person's this, that, the other thing. Who cares? If you don't have a vested interest in someone's sexuality, then why?
I've heard that saying "who cares" can be problematic because people need to be allies. People do need to care. That is a whole other conversation. That is not what this episode of this podcast is about. But I listened to the podcast True Crime Obsessed, and the female host, Jillian, is married to a man, but she is a bisexual woman, and she talks a lot about how people will come at her and tell her that she's not really bisexual because she's married to a man. And it's like, how are you gonna tell me what I am?
Well,
you know what I mean?
You can't tell other people.
Let me tell you who I am. So that I like to live life as letting people tell me who they are.
I guess let me qualify it as, when I say who cares, I mean it doesn't affect me. I want you to be your most authentic
Right,
self.
right.
And anyone who's not my wife's, well, obviously I care about your sexuality, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Anyone who's not someone I'm married to or wanting, then your sexuality,
sex with,
right,
yeah.
is ancillary because I don't think that defines your personality. And if it does, I guess that's your own way of living, and that's fine. But again, it's not who you. It's like It's like saying I can't have guy friends because I don't want to be with. You know what I mean? Like,
and this is just a whole lead-in.
it's a whole another animal.
Well, no, that it does play a part in this special because what happens is these two young folks, Chad and Amanda. I think Amanda is like 26 in this episode, in this, one-off documentary, and she just had triplets. So she has 5 kids, 2 husbands.
Oh,
She's 26. She's the breadwinner. And it's just an interesting, atypical family setup. So this is ripe for TLC to pick up.
Atypical is an excellent show on Netflix, by the way. Nothing to do with this, but since you mentioned it, it's a fantastic show.
But the way Amanda happens upon her second husband is this was her first husband, Chad's best friend. And there is a lot of speculation about sexuality.
Because there's a lot of sexual tension between the boys.
That's why we just had the conversation we had. In this episode, everybody purports to be heterosexual.
Yep.
So that is what we are going to discuss this episode based off of that, based off of who they tell us they are. And then I do have some where are they now information that we will get to that I have not told you about.
That's
so
great.
You do not know about this.
I love being surprised.
You love being surprised. So we have Chad and Amanda. They are, I want to say like fundamental Christian denomination, but I think they just grew up like super, super Christian, and they got married really young. They were like teenagers, and they had 2 sons. I thought at first that they had twins, and I was like, oh my God, she had 2 sets of multiples, but no. She had two kids with her first husband, Chad, and then she had a set of triplets with Jeremy. And the whole drama, besides the brother husbands aspect of their family, is the fact that we don't know who the father of the triplets are. And it is like, I'm gobsmacked. My mouth is open. The fact that Chad and Amanda feel no need to like know who the father is.
So that's one of the strings we pull on in the story.
Of all three of the triplets who are fraternal, so they're not identical.
Right.
So in theory, there is a chance that Chad could be a dad of one. Jeremy could be a dad of one. There could be multiple dads in the mix.
Right. One of the strings we pull upon is, I guess it's Jeremy wants a paternity test. So Jeremy wants a paternity test because he wants to just know his biological relation to these kids. And I don't think
I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
I don't think it is necessarily if they're not my kids, well, because they know their situation. No, but it is a situation of like, okay, first of all, with medical history and
thank you,
a fluid situation that their love life is, it would be good to know who's biologically related to who.
There are so many reasons why it is pertinent to establish paternity.
Just to have that on the list somewhere.
My God. Like,
and so the other two don't seem... So they ended up getting a paternity test, but the two... So Chad and what's the woman's name?
Amanda.
Chad and Amanda.
Hold on 1 second.
Chamanda.
We fucked up.
Pretty bad on names.
Names
I also
in the Natalia Grace episode.
I also established at the beginning of the show I do not do names.
So Matt will never again be in charge of like looking at a People magazine and going, yes, name. You're not a named fact checker. So yeah, it's Chad and Amanda who were married for 8 years. This is kind of different than Sister Wives. So in Sister Wives, Mary and Cody get married knowing that they will eventually bring in another wife.
Yeah.
Chad and Amanda were living monogamously. And
well, see, that's seeking sister wife. Look at Garrick. It was exactly that. Perfectly fine, you know.
Hold on. What is my note here? Because so what happens is Chad has this best friend, Jeremy. Jeremy is like hanging out all the time. And I guess he develops a crush on Amanda. And Amanda's like, I guess I should fuck him too.
I guess.
What's a girl to do? So I said, my note is, you don't have to let people sleep with your spouse.
You don't. There's no laws.
Because Chad's sitting there going, well, I wasn't really liking the idea, but what's the guy to do?
Like if Sarah was like, hey, your buddy Luke, I got a crush on him, I'd be like, so do you want the papers? Are you planning on getting a new apartment?
To, like, deal with that.
Like, listen, if you don't love me anymore, we'll chop that down later. But there's no world, and this is just our life. As there's no world where I plan on sharing you with human beings that did not also come out of you.
In our relationship, the Salulu to the Delulu.
Salulu.
The solution is not let's make this a three-way thing. Because in Sister Wives, they made it clear from day one that they don't go weird. Like there's this famous clip of Mary saying like, we don't go weird. They all had separate relationships with Cody. In this situation, we learned that their sleeping arrangements are one night it's Chad and Amanda, one night it's Amanda and Jeremy, and then one night it's all three in the bed. Yeah. So what's really, and just like with the what was the family on Seeking, the Davises on Seeking Sister Wife, they had like a custom made bed.
That guy was a weirdo.
Yeah, so and it's like, well, okay, you guys are all sleeping together in the same bed. Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Not the problem with everybody sleeping in the same bed.
You're putting your relationship on TV. I'm gonna ask questions.
If you are questioning why we have a commentary on anyone's life, it is because they put their life out there for commentary. So I will say this, when we're making an episode about a show that we want to comment on, that here's our issue on it. It's like, well, dude, why are you talking about it? Because if they didn't want people talking about it, they wouldn't have put it on TV. This isn't like a situation where you're like, oh, we're just trying to keep our lives private on national television. Yeah. So,
well, and the Chad and Amanda were on a
Chamanda.
I actually kind of like that as a couple name, but they were on an episode. Do you remember the show on MTV, Engaged and Underage?
No, I didn't watch it.
It was like in the early 2000s. They were on an episode of that. So these people had been trying to get on reality TV for years. So,
and that's another thing, is some of these people just get on.
And I don't know why this show didn't. I don't know if they only wanted in the like, where are they now that I have, it's basically an interview with Chad, and he said that filming was really difficult.
Well, also, they only had one couple. Like,
so this would be brother-husband. So there was Sister Wives. This would be brother-husbands.
Right.
Sister Wives is only about
Right,
Browns.
But they started with 3 marriages in that show. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So this was 2, and who knows? Would she go and seek... There was a whole mess of drama with, paternity. This could have been a really fascinating show because of just the where does your role fall in this family? We never really saw that get established with the Browns, because by the time the Browns went on Sister Wives, we already knew Janelle was the working wife. Christine was the stay-at-home mom. But we see this family in really its infancy. It's definitely its infancy of polygamy or polyamory. And we're seeing the guys especially have a huge... They're having growing pains with what is my role? Chad is like, oh, am I overstepping as a dad to the triplets? And Jeremy certainly feels like that at times. He feels like Chad goes to like comfort one of the babies and Jeremy's like, what are you doing? That's my kid. And it's like, well, we don't really know at that point if it is your kid.
Could we get Chad over here to put my kid to sleep, please? If anyone wants to jump in and help
Chad,
that nonsense
you are welcome to sleep in our bed if you are getting up to put kids to
No, but
sleep.
you're like, you're engaging in a situationship that it's like, how can you be this thruple essentially without sharing all the parts of it? So like either you're all living one shared life experience or you're not. So if you're saying like, if you're going to be upset, it's like, well, I want you to talk to me about the kids. Well, I thought we were all raising these kids, because it would seem to me odd that you would essentially get into a double marriage, multiple, like a polygamy situation, and not share all of the burdens. On the Brown family, they all raise all the kids, better or worse for, or that's kind of like the jam, you know what I mean? Like, so when they're upset, like, I don't want you, or, I was a little upset that you helped out, because I think at one point he was like, you should have called me. And you know what I mean? Like the guy wasn't there. So the guy made a game day decision to help. And, oh, you should have called. I was like, well, I thought we were all in this together. You know what I mean? So don't, and then that was what I was getting to about the paternity test is the one guy wanted to know the paternity results. The other two were just like, I don't know. Why don't we just leave it alone? Because
and I just looked at my notes. It went even beyond that. They had decided that no matter who the dad was, Chad was the dad of the two oldest boys, and Jeremy got to be the dad of the triplets. No matter if he was or wasn't actually. And I'm just like, this is nonsense. And I'm sorry if I don't know if that's like an archaic take, and like, I mean, I cannot as a mother, because Amanda just goes, well, I don't really have a dog in this race because I know I'm the mom. So she totally like backs out of even having the discussion. And I think that was fucked up on her part, because it's like
confrontational nonsense.
Because it's like, no, it's two of your kids will always know for sure who their dad is, but three of your kids are going to always wonder. You can't just tell a kid this is your dad.
Well, you can.
When you don't really okay, say you never go on a TV show. Say you never put that shit out there into the public ether, and say you lived your life and just always said that this guy was your dad, even though you didn't really know. I still think that's fucked up, but at least the kids would have always grown up thinking this dad is their dad. Okay. But you're going to raise your kids, your plan, Amanda, as I'm just trying to make sure I'm following the logic here, is that you want to go on a TV show, tell the world that y'all don't know who the bio dad of these triplets are, and that you're just going to decide that it's Jeremy, and you're never going to tell your kids.
Yeah, that sounds pretty logical to me. Yep.
I mean,
keep on keeping on with that Delulu.
Spoiler alert. And I mean, we'll get to the actual where are they now, but they didn't make it as a couple.
No.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
So who's raising all the kids?
Well, I don't know 100%. Maybe they'll tell us in the article, but
we'll get there, I suppose.
Let's just see. Oh, so they do a paternity test. They get the results, and then they sit on that shit for 3 months. What kind of psychopath I am incapable of having any kind of knowledge of anything. We never did a gender reveal.
Well, that's what I was
going to
say. I don't understand how people.
I'm incapable of having a secret.
Well, no, the gender reveal thing to me is putting yourself behind the eight ball, and I am shitting on gender reveals a little bit. Hold on, not just because they've set fire to Southern California on multiple times, but because if you're waiting till a baby shower or maybe even before to do a gender reveal, you're unable to really, I feel like, shape what the room's going to be like, the nursery and all that stuff, depending on how you want to do it. I feel like not having that information is really difficult.
There's actually a lot of people that choose to not know the gender. My mom didn't know what I was, and that's because my nursery was my brother's old nursery. It was 1987, and that's what she did. The colors were red, yellow, and blue.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I actually wore a lot of my brother's
I like to
hand-me-downs.
plan. I like to know things.
Yeah, so that's not for us. But I can appreciate people that I actually know of a family that had a boy and a girl, and they were pregnant with a third kid, and they just decided let this kid be a surprise. They had clothes for both, you know, should they need. And so I actually don't take I mean, I guess nobody should take issue with really anything in life, but I don't take issue with that. Sitting on I know me personally, I could not sit on knowledge of like knowing these people with knowing the gender of their child just never know. They just choose to not get that information. It's not like they have it sitting
paternity.
in a well, no, the gender.
Oh, copy.
It's not like they have it sitting in an envelope in their desk for 6 months.
Yeah, no, you're going to know.
Which is
eventually you're going to find out.
Exactly. Which is what happened with the insert last name here family is they do the paternity test, they get the results, and then they just fucking sit on that information. Chad and Jeremy. There was a lot of speculation about what was the true nature of their best friendship. Like, you guys are both at times sleeping in the same bed with your wife, but in this episode, I guess they never explicitly say, but they make it seem like Amanda has a sexual relationship with Jeremy and Chad has a sexual relationship with Jeremy. They don't talk about any kind of relationship that Chad and Jeremy might be having with each other. They never touch on that. They don't
talk about it, but you can read between the lines.
There's a vibe. There is a vibe. And
uncut sexual tension.
And here's the thing, and it's like I'm getting the vibe, but like we said at the beginning when we first started talking about this, like, let people tell you who they are. If you're telling me that you are happily married to a woman, I will believe you. Why not? Why would I not believe you?
Doesn't affect me. Do you jam?
And that's the thing with like my husband's not gay. And that's the wild thing with my husband's not gay is all of those guys are still married to those women. Thing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so I will. Well, who am I to tell you you're not happily married? You know, like whatever. So the part that really kind of got me is that when they do finally read the paternity results and Jeremy is the father of all 3 triplets, Chad gets really emotional. He gets really choked up like, oh, Jeremy, I'm so happy for you. Like, I was like,
it's like he skipped right over his wife and went to snuggle.
Yeah,
it was very tender.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was I would say untypical of a male relationship that doesn't also carry over to more sexual things. But who am I to judge?
The other part of this episode that was explored was just kind of how this relationship has affected the extended families. So the only extended families that we meet are from Chad. We meet his mom and stepdad and one of his sisters, a foster sister. And that was when Jeremy got all like territorial, is because Chad had his sister babysit I don't know if she babysat all the kids, but she definitely babysat the triplets. And one of them was like being fussy. And so she texted Chad because Chad's her brother, so like that makes sense. And Chad was like, Chad, who is a 2-time father, is like, put the baby down for a nap.
Right.
Ugh. Jeremy was like, what?
He did not appreciate that.
You did not consult me. We have them on a schedule, like he got PO'd about that. And so, yeah, but it's all like, yeah, like if those are my kids, those are my kids. Do I want another person parenting my kids? How does that work in these dynamics? And
well, but in that one in particular, it doesn't matter what. You entrusted the care of your children to someone else, albeit a trustworthy person. Mm-hmm. You can't pull they're my kids, I'll raise them the way that I want with that for that very small amount of time. You know what I mean? Like if you're giving your kids to a babysitter, yes, you can lay down the guidelines for what it is that you want done. And sure, you can not ask that person to babysit again or whatever. But you're entrusting your children to another human being. So you really can't be like, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Like if my brother babysat our kids, he would way more likely text me than he would text Sarah about anything he needed with the kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a brother and a sister relationship. Of course she's going to text her brother because he probably knows her better.
Your brother wouldn't be your brother. I mean, because I got my tube side, so I can't have any more kids. Your brother wouldn't be babysitting a kid I had with another guy and texting you about
Unlikely, we'll say. Yeah. We'll say it's unclear. It's a gray area.
Prob's not going to happen. So the end of the episode culminates with they're celebrating the fact that they know that Jeremy is the father of the triplets. Chad's mom, who was really iffy on like what the fuck just happened with her son and his wife and their marriage. Like she has been accepting and she wants to be grandma to all the kids. So it's like, it's all really heartwarming. And then they have a little dinner to celebrate it's been 2 years that they've been in this thruple brother-husbands dynamic. And that's how the show ends. And that show aired in 2017.
Yes.
In 2018, Chad did an interview with the Ashley Reality Roundup. And I will link the article in the description of this video. Mm-hmm. But so basically the article says a little over a year ago, TLC aired Brother Husbands, a special about a polyamorous family. It starred Amanda and Chad Liston as well as husband Jeremy Johnston. Blah, blah, blah. So what has happened to Amanda, Chad, and Jeremy in the year or so since Brother Husbands aired? In an exclusive interview with the Ashley, Chad gave updates on where his relationship with Amanda stands and the shocking changes the family has experienced. Chad says, Amanda and I are divorced, and sadly, Jeremy and I don't have any type of relationship.
So clarify for me again, who was the original husband?
Chad.
And so
he's the one giving this interview.
And so he's no longer. So Jeremy came in and then he had to go.
Yeah, he Robined the fuck out of this family. So Chad, husband number one, is the one giving this interview, and he said that he and and he was legally married to Ashley.
Yeah.
So he and Ashley are divorced, and he said Amanda and Jeremy are still together as of 2018. So this was several years ago. They live together, but they are not legally married. The split came as a shock to Chad. I don't know why.
It doesn't shock me.
We all watched the episode. There was definitely turmoil in all of the relationships. But the split came as a shock to Chad, who had been with Amanda solo for years before Jeremy came into the picture. Chad was the one who brought Jeremy into the family. Like, it's not like Amanda met him. Who's that girl on Seeking Brother Husband? It was like Elisa or something. She was totally just looking for
a way out.
A way to acceptably cheat on her husband.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're told this was.
It was that other family that was like, yes, we were together, and then I got with this other guy and basically retired my first husband to his own room, and I now have the new guy in my bedroom. And then that was the lady who was courting a third husband to retire the second husband, if I recall correctly.
So Chad says it's not a good end result to be separated, and it's even worse when children are involved. Neither Amanda nor I said our vows on our wedding day expecting this outcome. However, I'm not hurt that Amanda is still with Jeremy. I'm so glad she was able to find a person she felt she needed to be with. Chad also revealed that filming Brother Husbands added to the already complex nature of his polyamorous relationship. None of us had a good experience with the show. It placed a lot of added strain on all of our relationships with each other. Filming was forced. You have to be at a 10 even when you feel at a 1. It's rough and nearly impossible to maintain reality while filming. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
I've been saying on every one of our shows and any time I was on your show that reality television is the farthest thing from reality. And it is everyone who has ever been on it, they'll tell you every time, it's that exact sentence. You have to be at a 10 even when you're at a 1. Well, if it were reality, you would be at a 1 when you're at a 1. You'd be at a 5 when you're at a 5. And so, again, when I tell you the scripted department at The Bachelor was larger than the casting department at The Bachelor, that tells you something. You know what I mean? The storylines are written for people. And then, you have to do what the producers tell you to do because that's what you sign a contract. You agree to be part of this thing. And that says, well, when the producers push you one way, you have to kind of lean that way or else we're never going to get this off the ground and nobody makes any money.
Yeah.
So it's not a reality TV show. Again, that would be, if it were true reality, it would be called a documentary and not reality television.
Yeah.
That's why they're not docs.
So it was interesting, that little bit of the article, to hear what like a terrible experience they had while filming. When you see like the Browns on Sister Wives, they're on season 19. Like we're gonna go into season 20 pretty soon.
Here's hoping.
No, there's gonna be a 20 and a 21.
Oh, great.
Confirmed from McKelty.
Keep the train going.
But so, not everybody has a great experience with filming reality TV, and Chad seems to pin a lot of the problems, but they only did one episode. So it's like,
I think some
how much
of those
their
problems
family I don't think that those were the show didn't uncover the territorial problems, nobody knowing what their role was. Chad has older children in school, but he's still being a stay-at-home husband. So he's like wanting to also be a dad, but Jeremy's like, nah, these are my kids, which I've never had multiples. I've only had one kid at a time, and they were 3.5, almost 4 years apart. Y'all want to come in and act like mom and dad and just take the kid, by all means, like all hands on deck. But I get it. It's like if the person is also sleeping with your spouse, it's like, and it's back like, away from my baby.
Everyone can say that their room and their home are clean when the lights are off. But when you turn on a spotlight,
yes. Okay, yeah.
when you turn on a spotlight, when you start looking under the couches and you start shining flashlights around, it's not the light that's causing the problem. The problem was there already.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that now everyone can see it that people start talking about it. So this guy, I think the show had a lot to do with it. Sure, the show turned on the lights.
Yeah.
But you were the ones who left your home in that condition. Yeah.
So the other update that I have, and I'm not going to
She's pregnant with quadruplets.
I don't know what's up with Amanda and Jeremy. I didn't really search too much about
Amaramy.
I don't know what's up with them. I don't know if they're still together, but I did Google Chad, and because he's the one who gave the interview in 2018, and it pulled up a wedding registry from Zola, which is a wedding.
Weren't we on Zola?
Yeah, it's like a wedding gifting website, and it was a wedding for him from 2020.
Bad time to get married.
Well, and the thing was, they were postponing the wedding because of the pandemic, but it was of him and another man. So I'm not gonna like put. I don't know if they are a public facing couple or not.
Yeah, whatever.
This wasn't like a they did an interview with People Magazine or something. It was like their wedding registry. So I feel kind of weird.
We dug the dirt.
Yeah, I feel kind of weird like being like, here it is. But
I just hope they're happy, and I hope they're living their best lives.
I hope they ended up getting married.
Sure.
Yeah, because
I had a buddy whose wedding got screwed up because of COVID.
My cousin's wedding got screwed up because of COVID.
Just those two people. Everyone else was fine.
Everyone else was fine
on the planet.
Yeah.
Yep. Just those two people.
No, nobody else suffered from COVID whatsoever. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Good for them. I am getting a vibe from you that you're not being true to yourself. I feel you're not being your authentic self. And no matter what you're saying one thing, and your mannerisms, your eye contact, and the way you compose yourself are screaming another thing. And that may be wrong, but in this case, I'm like, I felt like these two dudes had some kind of feelings for each other. I
did too.
And it seemed very well that way, whether that was the show putting it that way or not.
No, for me, the reaction to the paternity, Chad's reaction to the paternity results really felt like almost like he and Jeremy as a couple were receiving those results, not Jeremy and Amanda.
That was like their best friend.
Yeah, it was like, this is
something else.
A bit of an elevated reaction that I would not expect from, like, say, Christine on Sister Wives was needing a paternity test for some reason, and like Janelle was like, "Oh my God, you're the only like."
Well, but what it does is that you can't just go around saying, we're not gay, they're not gay, we're not gay, and then when it turns out you are getting married to a man.
To be fair, Chad and Jeremy on this show never denied.
I suppose it was never.
They never
postulated.
denied anything. They were never asked.
Right.
It was Amanda's with Jeremy and Amanda's with Chad. That's how it was posed to us. And while I think definitely there were what I would consider vibes there, like I said in the beginning of this podcast episode, I let people tell me who they are, and I go off of that. So whatever. In Brother Husbands, they were telling us explicitly, we are not gay. Like, the show was called My Husband's Not Gay.
It was legitimately the show
and
title.
It was like, but you're also telling me that you
need to be pulled off of a man, like
like there's a danger scale between you and like some dudes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you may not be gay, but you feels a little gay, like.
And it's so like, what is okay to like comment on, because
it always comes down. It always comes down to, I can't be who I feel I am because my chosen religion is not allowing me to do it.
And I would love to hear from Chad now, if he ever, because,
Pops back up.
He was on Engaged and Underage, and then he was on Brother Husbands. If he ever did another reality type show, although based off of his last interview, it seems like probably he would never do that again. But I would love to hear his story of having gotten married super young as a teenager, having children, then meeting a person that you become really good friends with, inviting that person to participate in your marriage. That person ends up having children with your spouse. You end up divorcing your spouse, and then you ultimately marry someone of the same gender as you, opposite gender of your first spouse.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just be genuine. Be yourself. Be who you are.
But I would love to hear Chad's like coming of age story about that,
But it's unlikely.
Yeah. But this is why like these shows on TLC are so gripping and interesting. And honestly, there is a whole playlist on YouTube that you can buy these episodes as one-offs. Of these specials that TLC just did back in.
Oh yeah, this one was not disavowed entirely by TLC. Unlike My Husband's Not Gay, we do not even support this anymore.
No. But I can't even say like the early 2000s. This was 2017, but
it's not the early 2000s.
But it was like
the millennium. It's the early 2000s.
I guess the pre-pandemic era. So you can't find it on Discovery Plus or Max or TLC Go. Where I found it was on YouTube. So I bought the episode on YouTube, and there's a ton of
there's a bunch
interesting. I think we're gonna probably maybe do another one. I don't know, but that was our mostly harmless take on Brother Husbands. And this is what I think we wanted Seeking Brother Husbands to be when they announced Seeking Brother Husbands, but Seeking Brother Husbands was not that at all. We had the polyamorous sex coach couple that they both were living like
I loved Seeking Brother Husbands. This show was not a good show, in my opinion.
Oh, see, I
would not have watched this. Not that I really go out of my way. See, that's the thing. Seeking Brother Husbands, I got behind that.
So much tension with Jeremy and Chad, and then like Jeremy and Amanda were definitely not on Amanda was definitely not hearing what Jeremy was telling her in their relationship.
But just like some really awful movies out there, the best stuff was in the trailer. I doubt there was any legs for this after what we had seen.
Yeah, and maybe that's
I feel like we had seen all there was to tell of this story, and then some, because they had to fabricate things for this. Like, you know what I mean? They had to come up and create drama. I don't think there was much more to it. It wouldn't surprise me if the divorce was very, very close to this situation. I didn't catch the timing on that.
The show came out in 2017. This article came out in 2018.
So
almost immediately.
So there would have been no show, because if you know what I mean, like
they certainly didn't have the cling power that the Brown OG wives had.
I don't know you enough to care that you're no longer married. You know what I mean? You can't kill off a character in the first episode and expect me to care about that character's backstory. You know, in any you know what I mean? So like, I feel like and not even knowing about this divorce, I feel like this was as much information as they were able to come up with. And that's probably why. If it would have had legs, it would have ran. But it didn't. Yeah. This poor little thing was born without legs. And it crawled its way into our hearts. And there it died.
Well, I hope wherever these people ended up, I honestly, because Chad was getting married in 2020. I don't know if he actually did. I don't know if he's still with that person. Last we heard, Jeremy and Amanda were still together. I don't know if they still are. The saddest thing is that there were 5 there are 5 kids.
Well, but here's the other thing. We don't know.
involved,
We don't know. I mean, those kids are probably well taken care of.
I hope
like
so.
none of
I
them
hope
seemed
so.
like shitty parents.
No.
It's
but
just
but
it's
in situations like that, like I can confidently tell you, watching Sister Wives, none of the parents put the kids first. And in watching this Brother Husbands, none of the kids were top priority. If you would rather not find out the paternity because it might mess up your relationship dynamic,
again,
you're not thinking of your kids.
I'm also not so sure how genuine of a storyline that was.
Yeah,
I feel. Let's use the I feel.
okay. What do you
statements here.
feel?
I feel that the paternity test was made for the show. I feel there's no reason they just, you're telling me you took a
interesting.
snapshot of these people's lives, because that's what you get. And it just happened to be, no, the show said get a paternity test. The show probably, again, I
Maybe
feel.
that's why Chad feels like the show ruined
Yeah,
their
'cause
relationship.
they probably didn't-
Probably the paternity test fucked everything up.
So
yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't seem genuine. And then and you want to know why you didn't know anything about the kids? Because that show wasn't about the kids.
Yeah.
And they had a 1 hour to tell you that story.
Yeah, and
so,
the kids were like just born.
Yeah.
And
So
I
the
could
reason
not imagine a reality TV crew coming into my house when I just had triplets.
I bet that they were probably being taken care of off site. You know, like I really I can't stress enough how manufactured these stories are. So again, I feel that entire drama was fabricated, albeit emotional things really happened because of it. But I doubt that ever would have seen the light of day if they were like, okay, well, you're having 3 more kids. Do you know who the father is? No. We would like for you to get a paternity test. And also, if you could sprinkle over the fact that because they're not identical twins, that it's possible that there could be multiple
Like,
fathers.
that is even beyond Jerry.
Because do you want to know what I wouldn't say?
That is like a passions level soap opera storyline.
Like that wouldn't even have been a thought in my head. Be like, oh, well, it's possible because we're all just, taking turns that we probably all got in there at the same time. And no, mine would have been like, okay, well, one of us is the father of them. They're twins. I know that statistically it is possible if you have multiple partners in a short amount of time and it's fraternal twins, that it can be 2 different eggs, 2 different sperms. Yes, it's possible. But in that situation, it's like, okay, well, that would not have been my thought. Like, okay, let's try. That had to have been, let's pull that string a little bit. Let's weave this story. And again, you want to talk about someone who's soured on reality television? It's me. It's me. I'm soured.
And with that,
that's all we got for you guys. Get out of here.
I can actually hear my kids terrorizing my mother, so we're gonna go save her.
Well, go on.
Yeah.
Can't you see I don't need you anymore? Get out of here. Get out of here. It's called white fanging someone.
White Fang.
Book's called White Fang. It's about a guy and his tiger, and the only way to get his tiger to leave because it couldn't live with him was he had to throw rocks at it to make it think that he didn't love the tiger
my
anymore.
God.
And no, I didn't read the book. I learned that from the show The New Girl.
Oh, that is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
So get out of here.
No, that's so sad.
Yeah.
We will never white fang. We will never white fang you.
And then you got to bring that into the lexicon. Be like, now you're white fanging someone when you're trying to get rid of someone for their own good. To get rid of someone for their own good. You guys take that and remember, as always, follow us on the social medias.
Yes.
You can find us everywhere. Do mostly no harm wherever social media may be blessed. And
Not TikTok because I still don't.
yeah, it turns out I never downloaded it. So
and Apple has followed the law.
As I said to her, I'd never had it. I also had never downloaded it, so it's gone. So
Apple's a law-abiding company thus far.
Follow us on all the legal social medias.
Yes.
Check out the website, www.level42studios.com. Submit a request, comment, concern, or topic of conversation you would like us to speak about. And as always, do mostly
no harm. Have a good one, you guys. Bye.